You are now entering the box. All right, we are back to the second podcast of 2021 here with the man, the myth, Brian Berns, owner of 217 Problems, which has amassed a following of over 114,000 Facebook followers, almost 15,000 Instagram followers, over 42,000 Twitter followers. Brian, thank you for coming and joining me here.
Yeah, no problem. It's I never know when all this is going to go away someday. So when I get asked to do something, I just say yes because it's cool.
Just hope it doesn't. Just keep going.
Right.
That's all you can do.
Right.
Well, yeah, no, definitely excited to have you on. You know, we obviously we're a social media company, and you were into it definitely at the beginning almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I always say that I benefited. And this is just being honest, and I'm sure you agree, that this Midwest, Central Illinois is generally probably 5 years behind what other areas.
Definitely.
And I
Nothing wrong with it. It's just what it is.
No, it's just what it is. And I benefited from that because I will be the first one to say, if I lived in Chicago, I'm probably a nobody. Right. Because it's just a different area.
There's a lot more competition. And I always say that too. Like, I think about, like, if I was in Chicago, would it be better? Would I be doing better? But it's a whole, like, sometimes it's better to be, the whole big fish
in a small pond. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that I'm not, Central Illinois Mark Zuckerberg or anything. I think that for me, I was lucky in where I was in my life.
Yeah.
And what happened in college was also where society was going.
Yeah.
And so I was just able to follow that.
Yeah, but there's definitely luck involved, I think, with a lot of stuff, but also the decisions you make. I was also there when, how old are you?
32.
Okay, so yeah, I'm older than you. Like, I could have started, you know what I mean? I could have started something or a page, and I didn't, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I regret that. Same with YouTube. Like, I thought, I think back, like, when YouTube first came around, I was making videos. Like, why didn't I jump on the bandwagon? What was I doing? And sometimes I regret that,
Right. Well, and for me, I guess if you want to start in the beginning, I went to SIUE for public relations, and where I did journalism, I did a radio show. I was all into the communication.
Oh, that's cool.
So I liked creating content to some degree already.
Yeah. Now you started 217 Problems was mainly started on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that started because when I was at SIUE, if you went to college, there's something on campus that everyone could relate. Your employee over there went to ISU, I think.
Yeah.
So there's probably something that everyone can relate to at ISU from either the 70s or today.
Right.
Well, at SIUE, it's a goose. It's Canadian geese. And so I, long story short, created a culture on Twitter with the SIUE geese. It's kind of a response.
So like a mascot or something?
No, our mascot's the cougar, but the geese are just all over campus.
Oh, okay.
They attack students.
So it's like a joke kind of.
Yeah. But just something that everyone could be like, oh, those damn geese.
Right. Nice.
And so I worked for the school newspaper, and they made an article, and I was like, I thought it'd be funny to respond, as a goose, be like, you didn't get our side of the story.
Yeah.
And, they're all excited. Oh, one of our readers did this. And then they were real disappointed to find out it was just me. And I did a couple lame jokes or, whatever. And then I picked it up again that fall. So it was summer or that spring I followed it. And then the following fall, I picked it up again. And I just kind of started, targeting, like, in terms of following, like what I thought were the many influencers on campus.
Yeah.
So typically sorority, fraternity, whatnot.
Right.
And
that already have like a social.
Right.
Circle.
And then just kind of going along with, you could search for like keywords and, around you. So I would talk about, people that talk about the geese. I would tweet at them, whatever. And then just do kind of like cultural references, blending SIUE culture with pop culture.
Yeah.
And that formula, as simple as it is, ended up being kind of a genius thing because it's something that no one really did before.
Well, you really took advantage of the platform.
Right.
I mean,
right. And
from a standpoint of growing an audience, like that's the kind of stuff you have to do. Look for those keywords, find something like that.
Right.
Like
or just timely stuff, I remember a Man on a Ledge came out and, I took a picture. I was walking to class and a goose was on the ledge and it was like geese on the ledge coming out for, and it just, and people like related to it.
Yeah. Thought it was funny.
Yeah. And it took off, people.
Humor, humor in general on social media. Yeah.
Just clean, kind of relatable humor.
Yeah.
And, I had friends that were like, yeah, they're talking about the goose on campus. Can I say that it was you? And at the time I was like, no. And it just became this thing that, I gotta admit, it consumed because it's addicting, you see growth and you see opportunity and,
Well, that's what, like nowadays, geez, these kids, man, it's crazy what they're dealing with the, they're like popularity. There was a special, it wasn't the Social Dilemmas before that, but it was about like kids and social media, and they interview a bunch of kids and they talk about like, oh, if my Instagram post doesn't get 60 likes in an hour, I take it down right away. And it's like,
I was never like that. I was,
it's just, it's crazy.
I'm more worried about follows early on, kind of the grassroots of follow and follow back and stuff. But no, I just kind of worried about.
What year was that?
2011 and 12.
Okay.
So it was kind of like our culture was still kind of young in that. Mm-hmm. And sure, it's nothing like SIUE's ever made anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I just kept doing that. One of my favorite things is, the song OPP.
Yeah.
You know me. I did. You down with OPP? Open Pond Party.
Oh, nice.
And people just like ate that stuff up,
That's hilarious.
Because it's kind of like that, like it's my natural sense of humor, like that kind of like sly, like kind of like subtle,
but a little dry, a little bit.
Yeah. And
what year did Twitter come out?
2009, I think,
was
or
it?
8 or something like that. I was. It's on my personal page. I think I got it maybe maybe it's 2007-ish, but I didn't touch it for I'd go months without touching it.
Yeah. So then when did you kind of get the Facebook going about the same time? Or?
No. So part of my story. Okay. So it took off and it ended up being sponsored by the university as an official internship for me.
Oh, nice.
So they end up saying, hey, we really like how engaging you are with our students. Like we want to help you, get this possibly bigger before you graduate. And then we could pass it on to us so we could do it, and then you could put on your resume, blah blah. And of course, as an outgoing college student, you're like,
fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, like why not? And I was on the top of the world. I thought like no one else has this type of internship, a D1 school willing to
I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah, like and so I was really like, I thought like no one. That's where like my drive of like, I remember I had probably like insane amount of meal money my last semester. I accidentally signed up for the biggest meal plan.
So that was that 217 problems though that you were putting like the geese?
No. Geese. No, we're not there yet. Okay. We're not there in my.
I was like, wait a minute, because you didn't leave that for the.
No. We're not there yet. So I would use my gift card or my meal money to go buy Starbucks for people on campus if they did a retweet giveaway. Or they would do like certain things, or like just finals week would be like a snack from the geese and all this stuff, and people would I would say, hey, you have to take pictures of you holding the.
What was the name of this account?
SIUE_goose.
Okay.
Yeah, and people were really engaged, and I was like, I always made sure if you give something away, you have to like make sure they post about it because that's just part of the process, you know. And I was really focused on that process, I remember, of not just winning the thing or doing it. It's like making sure that they have to do that fun,
right?
Thanks, Goose, for the free coffee,
right?
Because I knew it made a difference of that whole like, oh, hey, he's not lying. I can win, stuff like that. And it helped create that culture, I thought.
Definitely.
So I just, let's see, I graduated in 2012. So that September, I made 217 problems.
So you came back home.
I was still at SIUE. Sorry,
okay.
I was still at SIUE. So I graduated 2012 of that December before 2013. So September I started it, and was just kind of like I needed something. I knew I needed something after I graduated to keep my creative brain going.
Yeah, it was stuff you've been doing.
It was stimulating. It was fun. I saw white girl problems was growing. I saw first world problems was a thing. So I thought, why not make something, that all of our friends talked about.
Local.
Local, and just kind of went off. I remember Target telling the story about how Chatham had the T-shirts "Jesus loves us" for free. Like I don't know if anybody will remember that or not, but I just remember that was like one of those things that you just, oh man, only in Springfield kind of thing, And I just kind of took it. I saw there were some hashtags around like 217PROBZ, but nothing like that official, So I took it and just kind of did what I, old, like, long lines at Ice Deli, as lame as that sounds now, like as it's being said in front of you come across it, you're like, oh, I hate those long lines at Ice Deli.
Yeah, again, relatable stuff.
Yeah, relatable stuff. And I started it at Twitter, and then so right after I graduated, I started Facebook, but it was more just Twitter. It was just Facebook just because I knew it probably had to be there, but I didn't really know. And then, just Twitter. I think my first moment was when Chatham had someone created like a burner account or like a burn book, and someone was like, hey, this is not right. I'm like, you're right. It's like, hey, let's get everyone to suspend this. So I reported it or whatever, and it got suspended. And then next thing I know, I got asked to be on the news about it because it helped took down this account. And I'm like, oh. And so that was kind of the start of like, this is a little bit more than just jokes and, stuff. This can be like both, but it could be serious. And I like to think that my schooling helped me like have that other frame of mind of what something can be as opposed to just,
yeah. Everything kind of shapes who you are. So I'm sure it had something to do with it. You know what I mean?
Right. But I remember that was the first moment where I was like, this is a little bit more than just me posting about.
Was that a Facebook?
Twitter.
Twitter also? Okay.
No, it was just a Twitter thing. Facebook didn't really get going for a couple of years.
Yeah, I was going to say, at what point, so at this point you started that, how fast did the Twitter following kind of build up for, well, hold on, let me jump back to the Goose thing. What was that following like at the end?
So in retrospect, it got up to 2,500 people, but at that time, that's everyone that at SA we at least had Twitter or knew of it.
Yes. Is this count still going?
No, it after I graduated, they found out they didn't have a social media policy. So like their communication people were like, yeah, we can do this. And then they
botched it.
Yeah. And so it's like, at the time it was like giving away my firstborn, it's like you put so much time and effort in just to let it die was kind of
shitty situation.
Because I was trying to like, they had a girl picked out and I met with the girl every couple of weeks just to
talk about it.
Yeah. Talk about it, whatever. Transition. And she was like, yeah, great. And so I was expecting like stuff and it just never took off. I'm like, well, what's going on? Or not took off, never even tweeted really.
Right.
And what's going on? And I finally just had to let it go and just be like, either they got me or they didn't have all their eggs in the basket.
Yeah.
Like they thought. And they.
Well, with you not being down there and it's like, what are you going to continue with something like that? It's
like, right. Well, all my friends were like, oh, I thought you were going to continue. I'm like, I can't imagine doing it even once I got a year or two out, I was like, that'd be so dumb for me to,
right?
Because I'm not down there, so I wouldn't know.
Not on the scene.
I have to rely on other people's.
Yeah.
So,
how once you got back, you said that was kind of your moment. How quickly did the Twitter following kind of grow for?
So Twitter, didn't grow as fast as what the Facebook did once the Facebook got going.
Yeah.
But I would say
Facebook really kind of popped off and started taking over.
Right. I remember I was chasing Springfield for the longest time. And, I wasn't sure, because they were successful at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish they went about it differently, but thing with Twitter is, it got around 20,000 within like a year and a half. And that was like a big deal at the time. I remember like, oh man, 20,000. Like this is like
for sure.
And, growing fast. But now it's kind of stalled. Like it's the number you saw it at. It's been like around that for like a year.
Right.
And it'll go up and it'll go down and it'll go up. And I'm not sure if that's the platform in general
Yeah, Twitter's kind of weird. I never really got into Twitter.
Like I use it for my baseball and like news stuff,
Right?
Or like actually, I'm actually off Facebook right now personally.
Yeah,
I'm just working on the road stuff.
Right.
I just needed a 8-year break. But
yeah, I don't know. I try to get into Twitter, but something about it. It's just
it's far less toxic than Facebook. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's Yeah, Brian brought some beers here. What do we got here? Bud Light Orange. Got the 217 Problems beer over at Buzz Bomb. It's sold out though. Are they doing another one?
Yeah, they are. Once they're going to do a series.
Perfect.
But this is the last of the growler that they have.
They're gonna like change up the flavor of it, or when you say a series, nice.
It's going to be a series.
Well, cheers, man. Thanks for coming on. We're recording this one after hours here, so it's a little bit different podcast.
A long day. Well, you drank scotch on a podcast a couple weeks ago.
Scotch
or whiskey or something.
No.
I thought
coffee. I would. I don't have a problem with that. I love bourbon.
I thought with that guy that anyways.
What did I have?
I think it was your coffee when your brother came on.
No, he was on another guy's show.
Oh, the other beer.
What was that?
Podcast, Habitat for Humanity. When you went to the beer.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He rejected
Yeah, I know
me.
what you're talking
I
about.
asked to be on a show.
We were at when we were over at Obed and Isaac's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He rejected me. I asked to be on a show. He rejected me.
He's a good dude. I don't know why. I'm surprised he did.
I mean,
does little things.
Yeah, I guess you don't have to edit this together. I don't know.
No, this is it.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. he was part of the, nothing against him, but he was part of the people that not all the way get it in the sense of, my podcast is about positivity, and yours is problem. Like he got wrapped up in the name. And I'm like,
it is kind of like a branding thing, though. You know what I mean? It's tough. You gotta have that balance, and people have to recognize that you can have both.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think that's what's frustrating for me sometimes is, okay. What's frustrating is sometimes you have to defend your stuff even when it doesn't really call for it.
Right.
So like I was watching the New Year's Eve show.
Well, it's like like you said, it's like your baby.
Right.
You worked on it. How many years now? That was 2000. Yeah.
8.
So.
Well, no, it was funny. I was watching the New Year's Eve thing on CNN because
all the people in cages.
Yeah.
I kept joking about that the whole time. I'm like, they got all these people in little cages on the streets, man. What is going on here? And there's only like 20 people total. Yeah. Then they use the inflatable arm tube man to try to make it look like people are there.
But I thought it was interesting is, at this point, I'm a creator, you're a creator, different ways, but creator. And so Mariah Carey was on, and they said, when you recorded All I Want for Christmas, she stopped them and said, excuse me, I wrote that when I wrote and recorded.
Oh.
And I said, you know what? Some people might think that's like cocky or whatever, but I was like, good for her. Because I was like, because I could see, I would be in that same shoes where where someone would be like, 217 Problems is only for people that teenagers follow, the habit ones. And I'm like,
well, so actually it's premiering right now. I think, I don't know what time it is, but it's premiering right now. Our podcast that we just recorded was with a singer from Springfield who has a crazy following. She's got 1.1 million followers on Facebook. And her name's Shell. She's from Chatham. But she, I was talking with her about that because for some reason I just feel like if you're a singer, I just feel like you should write your music. I don't know why.
Right. Well,
and I mean, no disrespect to people that don't. I guess I get it. Maybe if you've been doing it for a long time, you run out of ideas. Or I could see working with somebody, like bouncing ideas off each other and helping you perfect it. But for some reason, I just feel like you should be writing your music.
Well, that's so rare because I thought every Christmas song was sang by somebody in the 1800s and they just sing it over again. Because I had no idea she wrote that. I thought it was just another sing-along that somebody else sang at one point. And she just made it popular. So now no one remembers Jane Blow that sung it in the 1960s, but everyone knows Mariah Carey's version.
Right.
And so I was like, oh man. But I was, just as a creator, I thought it was interesting that she made sure and stuck up for her.
Put it in there,
herself. And I feel like for me, and something I would like you to put in is for me, people will, if I made a mistake or whatnot, or people hate on how I carry myself. This is a process for me too, because before this, I was just an average Joe. I like sports. I had a few friends.
Yeah.
Everyone knew me as a Cub fan. That's about it. There was nothing like, to me, that special. So like for me, like this is all still like getting used to this, like,
well, it's probably
creating something that's notoriety and widely accepted.
Yeah.
And then also I go from a process of, you know, the C word. You're not supposed to say you're a celebrity, you know? So, but like, I don't say that, but people like Uber rides will talk about like, oh, you're a celebrity, blah, blah. And at some point I'm just aware of what my impact is. And I don't think there's
well, it's also like, I feel like a lot of people in Springfield aren't like
Midwest. I don't want to say,
well, yeah, but I mean like,
because we live here,
aren't, they don't try to put themselves out there on social media besides just kind of their friend group. They're not worried about like a bunch of people seeing seeing their stuff. Whereas like, you know, us, we want to be seen. We want to get out there. That's how that's what we do. We make money off of it. We make a living off of it. And we want to entertain people. But like, you know, Simply CBD, I've done a lot of Simply CBD videos and stuff. And I was at a wedding one time, and this guy's like, "Hey man, you're the CBD guy." And I'm like, I guess you can call me that. I've done some CBD videos, that's for sure.
Right. And you know, it's funny because like I worked at St. John's for 3 years, and some of them nurses didn't, you know, I was a transporter where I went up and down the floors. Half of them didn't know my name. They just knew me as 217 guy. Right. And it was like kind of cool, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. It's like, it was interesting. And it came to the point where I was like, oh, this is just this thing I do. Well, first off, like no matter what I do, I just dive in 110%. Like if I do a project and I'm like interested in it.
Yeah. You want it to be the best.
There's no like, oh, well, I die. It's just always how I've been. When I did my radio show, I interviewed ESPN people. No one listened to it. It was a web radio show. But I just wanted to be like this amazing thing that was bigger than it had to be. Yeah. And for me, that's how I grew up. Like me and my friends, if it didn't cost $5,000, the only other question was why not? Yeah. You know, and so that's
like this. I mean, we have the equipment, you know, it would be a lot simpler just to record the audio or whatever before, but I like doing this. Love having a conversation, learning about people. So it's like, let's just go all out. We got video, you know, on Spotify, Amazon, Alexa. You know, we just got our Alexa skill set up. And
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's how I think too. Because like, you know, my friend group, a lot of us were, you know, we would call our friends after a basketball game and pretend we're ESPN, and they're like, you're the, you know, act like we're Scott Van Pelt or something and interview. Yeah. And it's like, we always just did things bigger than what it had to be. Right. So,
well, when you do things out of passion, that's when you succeed.
Right. And
when you're passionate, I mean, look at the page is there another page that has more likes?
I mean, WICS. Yeah. But I mean, in terms of like let's be honest, Springfield doesn't really have influencers. Like you can't count somebody that works for Sinclair or somebody that works for Newhoff Media's influencers. And
we're about as close as you get.
Right. like, and it's like,
here.
Yeah, right. And so it's just one of those things that this area, sometimes a lot of people weren't prepared for something like that because people think of influencers as something in Philly or Miami. Now, don't get me wrong. There is plenty of people that obviously are okay with this, you know, obviously, but the amount of blowback I hear about different things, I'm just like,
well, you're always going to have haters.
Yeah.
You're not succeeding if you don't. I'm sure I have them. I don't hear about them as much, but I'm sure there's plenty of people out there
that
talk shit
Jason Hayward once said, they don't boo nobodies. And I feel like I try to remind myself of that because don't get me wrong. Like I know I have haters that, you know, they make fun of, I copy memes, I steal stuff. Guys,
that's what the internet is.
Guys, I'm just playing the game within the game. I'm playing within the rules. Sorry you don't think that's
what everybody does.
Sorry you don't think those rules are how you think I should play them.
Yeah. But
I'm playing within the rules. Like, I might steal a meme, a Midwest meme, but clearly a lot of people didn't see it before. Maybe you did.
Right.
I have I'm not a meme maker.
Right.
I'm a cultural former. Cultural former. I don't know how you put it. Like,
I get what you're saying.
But
that's what memes are. People sharing, people change them.
Right. But
they're not copyrighted.
The people that don't like me are very like, oh, well, he just steals memes or he's not creative. I'm like, look, I realize what I do is just I look at a culture and see what the culture would like and then go from there.
Yeah.
I don't create the second coming of some meme that's going to be like this 3-level greatness.
You're sharing what you like, what you think looks good, what's funny, what you know other people like, what resonates.
Which resonates, yeah. And I think for me, that's just what my skill set is just looking what resonates when, timing and everything. I talked to my partner, Eric, about this. He's like, what I think what happened with you is you're just consistency and timing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
consistency for sure is important.
That's
what I relay to all of our customers. You got to be consistent, man. You got to be out there constantly.
And that's what I am. And, I don't care that I don't want to be the most like epic meme maker. That's not me.
Right.
But I was like, my platform that I've created, it seems to be doing pretty well by just playing within the rules of stealing some memes every once in a while, maybe even quoting some other people that have suggestions on captions. Like,
But I mean, even now, I'm sure tons of stuff just gets sent to you, right?
Yeah.
People are sending stuff because they want you to share it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for that. I mean, I really am. Like, if it wasn't for the people that sent stuff in the way they do, there's no.
How many things do you think you get sent like a day?
On average 5, but on a busy day, like with their drive-throughs or whatnot, 20.
Yeah.
The day that
I don't like. I see posts, in the newsfeed. Obviously, I don't go to like the page regularly and scroll.
No one does.
Right. How many times are you posting typically a day?
So when I was just starting, I was real finicky about that. So I thought it mattered, especially on Twitter, it'd be like 5 to 10 times a day. Facebook be like every 3 or 4 hours, like just in my head, like kind of like what. And I used to be really like. What did I say? Not finicky. Picky. Yeah, like real, just particular about that because I thought, and not from any data, just from watching it, eyeballing it, that the algorithm really mattered on that. Now, it could be 20 times a day. It could be 3 times a day. It could be 7.
So just whatever you think works, or whatever you see something come across.
Right. Like
you're not overthinking it. You're just posting when you see something or got something you want to share.
Well, I used to. No, I used to overthink it a lot, but then now it.
But I mean now.
Now it's like almost like it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because I think everything. People worry about algorithms, this and that, but.
Do you ever look at your actual analytics of when the majority of your followers are online?
Oh yeah, I mean, so I've tried that out a couple times, and I've realized that if it's good enough, anything can pop off.
Yeah,
I could pop something off at 2 a.m. and get 2.3 thousand likes, which happened once, and I'm like, that was at 2 a.m. Or 8 a.m. right before I went to work, something happened once.
Can you think of any certain posts that were just the most popular? What do you have one in your head that's the most popular post that you've ever posted, and what that was? Just by likes or
likes,
shares and engagement, whatever, just overall.
There was one that it was just one of those. This is where people think I'm from, and it's like I just took a picture of Chicago, and then this is where I actually am, and it was just a cornfield, and you just made it split picture, some meme. The meme's been made
something
a million
with Illinois. That's what it is.
Right. Something a million times that's been done before, but I just did it again in my own way, and I think every year when I see it, I think it's 8 million. Something
really?
like that, yeah.
Wow. How long ago was that one?
So probably 14 or 15. So it was probably one of those
that's crazy.
Moments.
Really? That many likes?
No. Sorry, it reached. No, likes.
Reach.
Reach is 40,000 likes or something like that.
We did one on Instagram, and it was a place that never did it even open. It was a cookie dough place downtown, and what it get? It got
It reached 300,000 people.
Or what do you remember what the likes were? There weren't there 40,000 likes or something on it? Crazy.
Something crazy.
It was just a picture of a cookie dough place I was going to open up, but it must have just been the right time.
Right.
Somebody psyched it. Cookie dough, great! I love cookie dough.
And the thing is I'm not I'm simplistic myself. I think this in journalism, when in school we learned that you write to a 3rd grade level. So
right.
at the end of the day, when you're producing content, you're not doing it for the critical thinkers out there.
Yeah. Simple, easy when you're scrolling through your timeline.
And so it's in a way, that's how, call me simple-minded. I don't care. But that's how I think because it's.
But that's how the majority.
Because how the majority
want to
take stuff in.
Take it in, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I've like gone into something and spent hours doing something and it gets 4 likes or not 4, whatever.
Yeah.
But then something that you make off the cuff,
4 words,
and all of a sudden it's this ridiculous thing. Like that's why like I was kind of playing with 217 late night, because I was like, okay, does this have to have a picture with it? That combination of what needs to have a picture and what needs to just have words.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I think posts with just words do almost better than without pictures sometimes.
How about when you post like a picture of the words? I know sometimes I see you do that, and I know I've done it. You know what I mean?
Oh, the
when you just like
the background.
Yeah, or if you like, sometimes you do like people will post a picture of it, and it almost looks like the Twitter post, and it's just a picture of the words. You know what I mean?
Oh, so I do that. Same thing. That does roll too, because it's like some of it is what I think, and it's a style that it's things that if you are in this business or if you're in my position or your position, no one thinks about except you or I. Yeah. And what context and what situation is it appropriate to just post the tweet?
Right.
At what point do you just do this? How do you structure stuff?
And we deal with that all the time,
And it's not something you could teach either. It's almost like you just have to like in my head, I know when to form something, when it should be a background, when should it be this, and it sounds silly, but you just
learn it as you do it. Well,
it's part of the craft, and I think if you're watching this and you don't like me, you're thinking, oh, he's so obsessed. How could he worry about how a post looks? But it's part of the craft. And
why are some people so obsessed with sports? Why are the people that,
I'm obsessed with sports.
No, I know. I'm just saying, though, everybody has their things that they like and want to focus on, and it is what it is.
Someone pointed out to me recently, and a really good point, because I said, I get asked a lot like, oh, do I make money on it? Like an Uber or whatever. And I said, does that change the respect factor if I don't make money? Because it shouldn't.
Right.
And
they said, put a lot of time into it. You should make some money on it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in theory, but let's just say I didn't. I was like, let's just say it's still a respectable thing, blah, blah, blah. Someone said, your hobby ended up being a lot of people's guilty pleasure. So it's that like weird thing that, I
think everybody's dream is to turn their hobby into something
that's important. That's important.
Yeah. Something they like to do, turn it into a career to where they can make money on it and be happy doing what they love to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, so why hate on that?
And for me, right. I agree. But I mean,
I'll tell you, the people that hate on it are the people that are unhappy with probably what they're doing or what they have going on type of thing. You know what I mean?
Well, and I got a lot of blowback about advertising, and, I hope you edit this in because this is what I want to say.
This is raw.
Okay.
There's no editing.
Okay. If you want to hate on me for advertising, how about you hate on the system of I was a college graduate that did everything I could to put myself in a position for a good job. And I get back and I am 3 years out and I'm still making $10 or $12 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And the only jobs that I could get in my field, communication, so it's broad, but is if I'm 45 years old and 12 years of marketing already.
Yeah.
That's not fair to me. No, I'm not saying life isn't fair. I know that. But I'm just saying our society is so much different now that I couldn't just get a entry level
the problem
communication
is,
job. Listen. So I couldn't get an entry-level communications job. So instead of clocking in somewhere else, and still working my full-time job, which I walked 14 miles a day and whatnot, I needed a way to make more income that was a little bit easier. And if that involved opening the doors to 217, then that's what it did. I mean, if I made $100,000 coming out of school, do I work on 217 as much? Probably not. But do I also open up? Probably not too. But I was like, I didn't get a comfortable $45,000 job.
Yeah.
I was 4 years out of school and still making less than $15 an hour.
Right.
How else do you want me to make money, guys?
Yeah.
Like, how else do you like people? We get in a society where they say, "Well, our young kids, we want them to innovate, be prosperous, find new ways."
Yeah.
But when they do that, oh wait, no, not like that.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Well, yeah, and the problem is, people put a stigma out, or I don't know if you want to call it stigma, but they make people feel like they're supposed to go to college supposed to get a degree. But in the end, I don't know what the statistic is, but I guarantee probably more, the majority of people are not using their degree.
Oh,
Did it help them maybe get a job just because they had it? Possibly. But have they been paying school debt for freaking years? I got friends that are, I'm 35. I got friends that are still paying school debt. They're paying $500 to $800 a month. I couldn't even imagine having that. Like, I don't have any. I'm lucky. You know what I mean? I've worked it out. But
I have 24,000, and I'm probably going to die with it because I don't make enough, or it doesn't make sense for me to pay extra on it when it doesn't really move the needle. Yeah. So
it's crazy. Well, all the Democrats are taking over. You might get it forgiven.
I mean, whatever. I don't care. So it just bugs me. Like, and I don't mean to like sit on this, but I'm like,
it's all
if it's
good.
a public thing, I'm like, well, like, what do you expect me to do as a kid?
As long as.
Like, because if you were in my position or your kids were in the same position, you'd be like, hey, go make that easier money.
Well, go hate on Travis Scott for being sponsored by McDonald's, or, you know what I mean? It's just, people use what they have to create a living. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And not, mine was just to get, starting off, mine was just to get by, just to be able to, I don't want to say like be dramatic, like food on the table, but just to be able to pay basic bills. And I was like, and people seemed happy with the results, so why not? And I played with it, like, okay, what's going to be reacted to good? Well, what's going to be, and I, when I did social media for clients, like, I remember when I advertised Brickhouse, when I did his social media, I never said like, oh, go get that free beer, or not free beer, go get that, sorry, Will, not free beer, go get that half price pizza. I just made it into like what 217 from. I did it into a fun like thing where people can react to it emotionally.
That's what you got to be careful of, with a page like you have, like, still trying to get some advertisements, just about protecting the quality of the content and not making it too advertising.
When I think of I think I kind of did it in a way that's carved out good for the page or me is, you do the spotlights, which in the area we're local first. So we're supposed to be like supporting. So it's like, oh, well, that's nice that they're giving that opportunity.
Yeah.
For pennies on the dollar from what radio or newspaper would charge. And people seem legit happy. We made good money on Small Business Saturday.
Yeah.
And now it's just me hustling to pay off my camera.
Yeah.
But it was good because people appreciated that exposure that they didn't have otherwise for almost nothing.
Right.
It helped me out and helped them out. So it's all a winner. And you're going to hate on that. Then, I'm sorry that I'm sorry that my meme page is offensive. And, somebody told me, they reached out, they said, I liked you, but you just seem to sell out. And your demographic is different than what I'm like.
Always say
and I'm like,
they say it about artists. They say it about,
I'm like,
anytime someone starts making some money doing something.
And it's like, but here again, if you hate on it and you're like, oh, he sold out. Well, then you know what? Give me my state job then where I make $45 a year. Like, give me an interview.
I don't want that.
I like stability, so whatever.
No, I know.
You have 2 healthy feet, though. I don't have 2 healthy feet.
What do you mean?
I had to get a desk job because I had 2 surgeries before I was 18.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And
health insurance, you just need some.
No, I couldn't stand. I can't stand for 8 hours a day.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like, okay. I can't,
that's a tough thing to do. Yeah, no matter what. Jesus, people are on their feet all day.
And in our world, it's either you're sitting. I know you're going to say you up and down. So minus entrepreneur people, you're either standing for 12 hours at a restaurant or you're sitting
most of the time,
at a desk. One thing I wanted to share too is that, and I was thinking of instances, is when I knew that 217 Problems was like an acceptable thing in our culture was one, when SHG made a sign that pretended it was a tweet. They're playing Springfield and they said at 217 Problems, senators are just another 217 problem. And I'm like,
when was that?
2013, 14. So it was like right around when Twitter was taking off and it was like this like cool thing with the kids. And I was sitting at Cousin Eddie's and I just remember like putting my beer down and be like, that is cool. I was like, there's a lot of media, awesome. There's a lot of media people that would beg to have that said, or
pay somebody to do it.
And here I got it for free, and it's hanging.
They appreciated it.
It's hanging in my house as a canvas. That picture
nice.
of them,
Very nice.
And then in my work history from 2013 to now, I I was one of the tours. Like I was a part of the tour for new people. So it'd be like, there's the bathroom, there's the break room, and there's Brian. He runs 217 proms. And like these are managers.
At your work, where you work now? Is that what you're saying?
I'm somewhere in my work history between.
Okay.
Because I don't know what.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all good.
I got part of the
tour
when they're I was like part of the management. Was like, this is Brian. He runs 217 proms, and it was so funny because I was like, this is a serious place. And
have any of the jobs you've had, do you think you've gotten because you run? Outside of the situation that I know about, that was a shitty situation.
There was one job interview, and one said
like a job that doesn't have anything to do with it, but someone's like, "Oh, this is
no." So okay, I'll tell you. And I don't know the parameters, so I'll just say from here to now.
Yeah.
And
and you don't have to give any names, obviously.
No,
but
so
I was just curious.
so I was saying, people. The reason I bring up 217 problems a lot too is because people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'll say, especially during Uber, be like, "Oh, I do social media for business, blah blah." And they'll be like, "Okay," like kind of like whatever, like cool story, bro. I was like, "But I do run 217 problems," so like to make it connect. I'm like, "Oh," So I was in this job interview, and they're like, "Okay, so what have you been doing since college?" And they were like, I said everything I said, and then I said, I helped run small businesses, social media. I read off Monster Paw and Fire Nail, all these places that I think they would know. And then they're like, so they're right. And they just kind of had this like, everybody like 30s, mid 30s ladies, maybe 40. And they were like, okay, and I just saw this look on their face of like, okay, and I was like, so I do this partially because I run 217 prompts, and the whole mood of the interview just like flipped. And they were just like, oh, that's you.
Yeah.
I ended up getting the job.
Nice.
And I don't want to say that's why I got it, but I like, cause
probably didn't hurt.
Yeah. Because I just remember thinking like the whole interview, from serious to like, oh my God, that's you. I love
Loosened
your page.
It up a little bit.
And it just, it's humbling to me and mind-blowing that's the reaction people get, because I think, when you put stuff out and you put yourself out there and people react to what you put in, and I put a lot of time into this, or I have. So for that appreciation, I mean, that never gets old.
Yeah.
That like,
Sure.
And I tell people like Uber, the people that reacted like that in my job interview, I said, your reaction like validates everything that I do. Why I'm overly into this thing that, sometimes I get money back, sometimes I don't, sometimes I just do it for the experience.
Yeah.
And it's like for you guys to make it part of your day and get excited about it. I think as a creator, what more can you ask for?
For sure.
For that appreciation. That's almost worth more to money than me.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'd rather have this appreciation and this kind of like, we appreciate your efforts than $20,000 a week.
Definitely.
I mean, I know that sounds weird, but
right. And we had the Shell on our previous podcast. And she was talking about, I asked her about the people that hate, you know what I mean, and whatnot. And there's just people out there that do that. And I said, how do you deal with that? Or how do you, how was that hard to deal with or whatever? And she just, she said, it was hard at first. But eventually I started having people message me saying how much I inspire them. And how much, they appreciate what I do and they love seeing my content. And that far outweighs all the people that are haters.
Well, and it's true. And actually, one of the reasons I got off Facebook is because I was letting that into my life too much. Just in terms of my day-to-day worries,
Yeah.
And for me, and you know me a little while, like I'm generally a kind person. I care about my craft. I care, I'm never out to spite people. I mean, obviously I'm human. I've had my moments, but I'm not out to get people. And so when people go out of the way to get me, I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
And I have to convince myself of what that is. And I know, but it's so hard because especially when they take extra effort and, I'm not a perfect person. We all.
Nobody is. Everybody has their flaws.
I've made mistakes either with human interactions, posting, whatever, and I'll admit that and I'll own up to anything. But I sometimes this position I'm in, I didn't all the way prepare for that part of things when
Right.
I'm just like, at the end of the day, like I'm just an average dude. Like I'm nice. You know, I'm not Springfield exposed. I'm not like out to get people. I'm not,
Right.
you know, I'm.
Well, Lee, let's. I guess maybe this is a good segue into ways that you've used 217 problems to help people, whether
So-
it's finding things,
Yeah.
finding stolen things or lost things.
So my favorite thing was it was on a Saturday night, and someone sent me something that said, what was it? Oh, it was a letter to the editor, to SGR, but they sent it to me, and it was somebody stole this lady's purse, and this lady wrote a thing saying like, I hope you needed it more than I did, like da da da, like super sad, you know. And I remember going to Cracker Barrel with my mom, meeting up with her, and I was like, you know, this is. I remember her posting it, just being like, you know, kind of like if this person sees it, you know, because I was kind of waging like this person may be more likely to follow me than the SGR at the time. And like 5 or 6 people was like, yeah, we should do a GoFundMe. And I was like, okay, I'm still iffy about GoFundMes, you know, because it just, you never know when they're going to be, you know, it's really like.
I know people got burned on fake ones. And,
Right. So I made it, and within 12 hours, we had the $800 she lost. We had $800 raised.
Nice.
And so I got it, and I gave
How many people donated?
It was like 20, 25, something like that. We gave her the $800 and, you know, gave her a hug, and she was in tears, and I was just like, this is amazing. Now, what sucks is on the back end of that, you know, how many times people are like, can you do this? I saw what you did. And, and it's just, you have to explain, like, there's just certain elements of every situation that happens that make me want to go down that path.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You can't just sit and do it all the time.
You can't, because because at the end of the day, like, there's millions of more sad situations, more than that lady losing her purse, being stolen. People don't donate to those as much. Why is that? I don't know.
Right.
That's what's frustrating.
It's not like it's not a charity page, but when the right situation arises, you do what you can.
Right.
To help.
I helped my buddy get a. He was fostering 2 kids, and he had 2 kids of his own, and he needed a van, and other people, but my following also helped quite a bit on getting him a van. That next week, it was like $1,500 or something like that.
Nice.
So like I was proud of that.
Yeah. What other stuff though? I mean, people losing stuff. I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah, there's somebody that was connected to my page that a child lost her walker or got stolen or something like that. It was a medical walker thing, and she was like maybe like 7 or something like that. And someone donated the money to get a new walker. That was like
nice.
And that person, I found out was like they saw it on your page. I was like, wow. Just recently, someone lost a ring outside a state building, and my good friend Mark Personi posted about it and shared it, and the person was like, hey, that's so-and-so rings in building X, Y, and Z, and they got it back.
Perfect.
And I'm like, that just...
Power of social media.
It doesn't surprise me anymore, but it does. Mm-hmm. That, like, you know, it only has 114,000 likes, but when stuff like that happens, I'm like, it's pretty much damn near everyone at least has the ability to see it in some way, shape, or form. And it's cool because... Well,
Springfield's what, 160,000?
117.
117. How...
Because
What's your, like, when you look at your statistics of, like, where people follow your page from...
So it's...
I'm sure the majority is, like, right in this somewhat area.
Yeah,
but,
so I don't know how accurate all that is, because it says, like, a lot for Springfield, and then Decatur 2nd and Champaign 3rd, and then it's a rest of, like, 2%.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, like, that Springfield, I don't know how accurate of, like, does it go all the way to New Berlin? Is it...
Right, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's, you know, I've always been curious of that myself. You know, I look every once in a while, and, you know, when I reach people,
it includes some of the
Mattoon, or, you know what, I'm like, how did, you know, it seems like a lot of people out in Eastern, you know.
Yeah, it's weird. You know, like our podcast, you look at the statistics on that, and it's like, what, the other day it was like, was it Brazil or something? I'm like, how are these people finding this? Or the one time we were doing a live stream.
Someone's using
Where'd
a VPN.
that guy comment from? England. I'm like, what? How did you find me?
Right. Someone using a VPN.
That's just crazy. No, this dude was like, what did he say? He was like, oh, this is nice. I like it, or something.
You were doing like a live giveaway or something like that, and he was like,
He was just like, how do where? I don't know. He was just obvious. He was not from around here. The way he talked, whatever, and he was just like, I think I started talking with him. He said he's like from England or something. And it was just like, what? How did this even pop up? Yeah, I guess it's just Facebook, like somewhere, like in a Discover area. You know, I know they have different areas to discover.
I don't get that far off the map though. Usually, when my Discover goes through like maybe a baseball video from last October, you know,
right.
but it's not going
It's just
to
weird.
a small marketing company in Alabama, you know.
Now I know on your page, you guys have access to the like paid subscription type of thing.
Yeah.
But I've seen that you actually use that money though. Like, what didn't you like use some of it to like give to like waitresses or something?
Yeah.
Or,
So we during the like the I guess we're still in it, the pandemic, but I used that money to give like $5 to $10 to just different servers in the area at the time in the bank.
What is it, like a dollar?
$1.99 a month. So I've gotten 3 payouts from it. So I'm trying to find ways to utilize that more, but it's also tricky because it's, you never want to put the most important things in where 43 people are going to see it, and I'm waiting for the opportunity to do a bait thing. Like, in order to see this interview of whatever it is,
I get what you're saying.
If the Pawnee guy agreed to interview me with the guy making all the signs, I would have put it in the subscription area. But once again, that's another thing. It's like, I remember talking to Rick Kirby. Rick Kirby was kind of one of my early mentors, and he had a subscription thing, and I thought like, wow, like how did he get that?
I know who that is.
Rick Kirby? Yeah, he worked for WICS. He was a big social media influencer. He was like another influencer, but like on his own right.
Yeah.
When he worked here, and he just said, just keep them engaged no matter what. Just always keep them engaged every day. And he's like, that's what you got to do. And he got a subscription. And then like 6 months ago, I got my subscription thing turned on, and somebody, I won't say who, was like, oh well, we'll get ours turned on. And I said, it took me 4 years and hundreds of thousands of reach, and over a million, a couple months to get that turned on. You don't just get it turned on for your 1,000 people. You know?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Interrupting the podcast here. I just wanted to quickly say thank you so much for watching it through. I just wanted to give a little something back because I appreciate your support. To the first 5 people that message me at the number posted here, send me a message. I'm going to give the first 5 people a $20 gift card to whatever business they want, preferably locally here in Springfield, a restaurant or something like that. If you're not local, then I'll hook you up with one to somewhere else. But preferably local, support local. And thanks for watching. Really appreciate your support. And back to the podcast. I haven't even looked into it. Is there a requirement to have that on your page?
So they turn it on, and you have to have, like 3 months of like over 200,000 or 300,000 reach and engagement and stuff like that. It's for the fairly big people that have engagement, which is nice. I get it. You don't just want to turn it on for any old Joe.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm sure they'll lower it at some point, but it's kind of like the shopping on Instagram. That was only available to certain accounts for a long time, and then all of a sudden now it's becoming more readily available. I think it's actually just completely available to customers. But
one thing I want to make sure and touch on is, so as I've grown, I like we recently started doing On the Road, and that was kind of a fun thing because me and my...
Why don't you kind of tell everybody what that is in case they don't know?
So On the Road started I'm a huge documentary person, first of all. That's my bigger plan.
I love documentaries.
Is want to do it like a 217 documentary, whether it be like 5 minutes long, which really, Andrew, I want to get like any media person in the area to like contribute in some way with their fancy cameras for B-roll.
We got a couple of those
for B-roll and stuff. Like I want to do like this whole thing of like this is the 217. Anyways, more on that later. And me and Eric, my business partner, we were talking, and we had the 217 show, and I wanted to do like go to small towns, and someone was like, well, why don't we do it, but maybe try to find a sponsor for it first. And I was like, we could, or we could just go do it. Yeah. And so I'm one of those people, once I got the idea and it seemed feasible, I'm just like, go. I don't want to like plan. Yeah. I don't want to.
Something you want to do. Like, I mean, that's what we did with this. One day I was just like, I was like, man, I'm going to order the stuff. I just ordered the microphones, and then Bailey Family Insurance was our, they provided our insurance, and they wanted to do a spotlight with us. And so I was like, let's just knock both of them out at the same time. And it just got us rolling. Mm-hmm. We didn't get that many knocked out last year, but near the end of the year, we started rolling strong. And man, I think we've done one a week for past like 5 or 6 weeks now.
Man,
4 or 5.
And see, it's addicting too, because once you start creating, it's
Yeah. Well, we figured out how to do it faster and easier. We used to record from 2 cameras, then go back, offload the footage, which would take a long time because they're large files, and then we would edit the files together and go back and forth, switch back and forth between cameras. Then we got to export it, and we figured out a way to do that in literally like a fourth of the time. So now, like I won't put this up today. We're gonna put it up next week because we have one going up right now. But I could literally, like, once we're done here, I could boom, upload it. It's done. It's ready to go.
Well, that's good. And that's actually my struggles. I'm trying to find ways to do this more efficiently because I've never done a radio show. I've never done a TV show.
Well, in that situation, it's a little harder.
And it's like, but like I was like, I just work in a very one speed. Like I'm just kind of being a one man. Now I'm not a one man band now, but I'm like very like no one's gonna tell me let's plan on this. No, we're gonna go do it.
Yeah.
So I just go do it. And so we put out an application thing on Facebook. Bunch of people applied. 2 people I kind of narrowed down. And one of them, I don't remember her name, but the other one was Jordan. And I was
like the host of the show, right?
Yeah. Like somebody like a content, like somebody to be like a personality.
Right.
And I remember watching the thing with Eric, and I was like, obviously none of these people are like officially camera trained. I was like, at the end of the day, we just need somebody that can have like at least the hope of like being like sassy and personality, whatever. And I was like, I think there's a lot of promise with Jordan. And, I was like, I think, not that I'm camera trained either, but
yeah,
we could work with her on, how to phrase stuff or whatever, because I've done it before a little bit, what sounds more natural. And so we picked Jordan, and we talked a handful of times, did not meet the girl until she walked up in Waverly when we met up in Waverly. And, it's one of those things that gets creative. You either work well with people or you don't.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
vibe with them.
Right. And I didn't know. I was just trying to be like, keep it, I just prayed that we worked well together.
Yeah.
And
nothing good. Creatively, you definitely have to get along and vibe with them. And,
right.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it was, granted, I like to think I'm I can get along with people easily for the most part if I want to.
Yeah. Well, but when it comes to like creatively, I feel like that's different than just getting along with people.
Right.
Like vibing and division.
Right. And so I didn't know if it was going to be like, hey, I'm just going to fall around 217 problems. He's going to tell me to say things and, whatever. But we just like really hit it off where it was just like,
perfect.
Creating and, throwing back ideas. I mean,
that's good.
She really...
It ends up being a better product when you have a situation like that.
Right. And what was funny is kind of like where I get it, like where I'm still surprised sometimes how this is taken off for me is when I picked her or told her, hey, like you want to be our girl for this show. She like called her mom and cried.
Nice. Well, that's good. She's excited about it.
Right. But here again, it's amazing to think that like something I created, someone I picked is like excited that they got picked to be a part of the show or like some game show,
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
And so we knocked out 7 towns in 6 weeks, I think. And Jordan's married and 2 kids, whatever. Like I thought it was awesome that somebody was
taking
willing
time away from her
family.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. And for her, like I would say my favorite C word. Put that in your little Instagram story. The thing with the boxes and stuff.
Right.
Brian's favorite C word. Okay. See, I'm making your content for you. Gosh.
We're gonna have you cut the pieces out. For
Right.
us.
This is stuff I think about. I was like, how am I going? So my favorite C word is content. When someone says, "Oh yeah, that's good content," and they're not in the media world,
Yeah.
and she said like, "Oh, that'll be good content." I'm like, not that one word means you get it,
Right.
but I feel like when they use that word, I was like, she gets it. She knows
Nice.
what we're
Yeah.
here for. She knows what we're doing. She knows what I'm about, and it's been awesome because not only do I have a new friend, but just somebody that you could collaborate with and kind of like help do things with. And I think that,
It's good. Yeah, it's good to have people like that. You know what I mean?
right.
I don't have a lot of friends that am really close with that are like super creative or like are into creative stuff.
Dude.
So I've been trying to make a point to reach out to more people. Like, I went over and checked out Phil's place.
Yeah.
And I've reached out to, just different people like, hey man, we should get together sometime, or we should go shoot sometime, or just cause I just am looking for more of those people to vibe with and bounce ideas off of and do stuff with, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm the same way in terms of, cause there's people I grew up with or my best friends are not like media people.
Exactly.
For the longest time, I was just 217 Problems to my like best friend was just like something I did that this internet thing, and
Right.
he's on it like anybody else, but not like on it. And now it's like every time he calls me, he's like, is the creator of 217 Problems busy?
Yeah. Are you busy there,
Can I
sir?
speak to the CEO, please? Like
That's funny.
because he's like, people talk about it at work, and I'll be like, yeah, I know him. So it is funny because it's like my central circle wasn't, not they weren't haters,
Yeah.
but they weren't really like.
I mean, that's how mine are too.
They're-
I appreciate like sports and I appreciate a good game, but I don't like religiously follow teams and stuff. And a lot of my friends, like, they're always talking about that, and I'm like not really participating.
But
much,
I kind of like that too, because it's like, when I hang out with, my friend and we meet up at Cousin Eddie's, it's actually like a little bit of an escape,
Right.
of something he doesn't care about
yeah.
comments and
I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I hang out with those people, but I'm looking for the
Right.
creative escape to
Right.
to work with. I got a couple buddies that are just fun. Like my buddy Brett, he's not like, he doesn't do camera work or nothing, but him and I have like the best conversations. You know what I mean? It's just crazy, like how we'll connect in the conversations we'll have.
Right. Well, and anytime I could find somebody that on that same vibe, like the person that's editing my on the road shows, she works for Yahoo as like a digital person, and she has no idea about the Midwest. She's from New York, but just talking to her, it's just like so cool to talk to somebody that has that same like thing where we could like vibe off
Right.
ideas and stuff like that. And I love it. I wish I could find more people in the world, because even like someone like George, she's doesn't work in media, to be able to talk about what works and might not work. And obviously she admired, like, she's a fan of the page, so there's that. But she's just like very, hey, like, I think this would work too. And I'm like, oh yeah, and we could just go. I mean, at the end of the day, it's nice that somebody that you can tell them no, or you can tell them yes, and they're cool with whatever. They're just like, I'm pretty easy going. Like, if she has an idea, I'm like, yeah, sounds good.
Nice.
It's your voice at the end of the day that's on it, not mine.
So what's next? What's next for On the Road? Where's the next city?
To be determined. I want to go to like Sullivan for some reason, and I want to go to like Girard. I drove back from St. Louis over the weekend, and I saw Girard has like a movie theater. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't decide. I just know I didn't want to go to like Springfield, Decatur, Jacksonville,
The big cities.
Champaign, the obvious ones. Like, I almost didn't want to go to Pleasant Plains or New Berlin, but because I'm from there, I'm like, well, that still falls as like a small town. But
that's a good thing.
I just didn't want to do the obvious things. That's why I randomly picked Waverly, which I tell you what, for doing a show, the first one, Waverly was really big.
Nice.
In terms of like, there's a lot more stuff there to film than you think there would be.
So just so viewers know, is there any kind of schedule you're shooting for on those, or just trying to do them whenever you can? I know obviously you work a full-time job,
right?
And she does too.
So we, it's kind of like we started in July, right? So, but now that we have more of our stuff together, I have more equipment, more like kind of an idea of what we're doing. I mean, still maybe not a huge idea, but more of a workflow of what I want to go through. We're going to start back up in March.
Nice.
And she, with it being officially sponsored, eventually, or well, it's a done deal. Just not going to announce it yet. March to October subbing. Jordan was like, we can do 15 episodes next year. I was like, all right, you said it.
Nice.
So I think for me, it's a challenge of how to structure it. Do you do, I drove through 3 small villages the other day, and I was just like, okay, how would that be an episode?
Right.
Like how do you group them together? Do you make one,
I would probably separate them just because eventually you're going to run out of towns.
There's a lot though, man. There's a lot. I mean,
well, that depends on how long you want to keep it going, but
right. Well, and I do want to turn it into, we talk about documentary stuff. So it's like, I want to do like People of the 217 where we have like, I was thinking like the Dateline thing of like B-roll of the people walking through the field and, we tell some story and whatever. Like I want to do more of that stuff because I think that's what's going to keep the brand evolving is telling more stories.
For sure.
Like I said,
everyone loves a good story, man.
And it, me and my business partner Eric talk about it all the time. We live in an area, and we just talk about it too. We live in an area where people don't do a lot of stuff that we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. So we're lucky in that sense that we can pull something off, and it looks even halfway decent. Who else is doing that?
Yep.
No one's watching WA&D's Discovering Illinois show, which people message me like, they stole your idea. I was like, I didn't come up with this idea on my own. Yeah. Other people have done it.
Right.
It's just the fact of how you go about it.
Definitely. Presentation of it. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I have more flexibility to be funny / it can be a documentary / mockumentary. It could be a little of both, as opposed to Sean Streety going around WA be like, here in Taylorville, at the place that everyone knows. It's just.
Well, that's awesome, man. It's been a long journey for you, but it's nice to see you're getting to a point where you can start creating some of these shows and doing some of this stuff that you just genuinely want to do. And it's a crazy page, man.
Right. I think it's important. Like I said, passion does a lot of things. Like I've done, like financially, I've done a couple of things to help make the page grow that like, you're like, why would you do that? Like short term, you're like, why would you do something like that? Yeah. But it paid off for me, eventually you get the money back, and I'm glad I did it, that I stupidly made some impulse decisions. And
so I should have asked you this question beforehand, because I usually ask it to like small business owners. What has been the hardest part of the journey from when you first started with all this to now?
Ooh.
What's been the hardest part along the way here?
Honestly, I mean, especially in the last like 6 months to a year, but honestly, it's just dealing with feedback that you don't know where people are coming from, and you don't know anything about them, they don't know anything about you, and people go out of their way to like give you feedback, and you're just like, I think
that's a big problem with social media in general.
Right. And I think a lot.
These political arguments and all this crap. It's like people you make one like small statement and they think they know you and know everything you believe in.
Right. I think for me, it's especially in the last 2 or 3 years, is just dealing with people who view that they're the judge of moral ground and that you're the worst person ever. Example, there was a guy who got released from jail and he was walking down the street downtown in his clothes. Now, everyone in this room might like, at first that's funny. Like, you don't see people walking in jail clothes every day. On my side of things, that seems like something you don't see every day. You post it. Most people say, hey, that's funny. Get exposed in trouble. The people that view that as offensive are like, that's demeaning to humans and da-da. I'm like, in today's culture, like, yes, that guy's in the lowest part of his life, or whatever. He actually got thrown in jail later for stealing something else. But is that the most immoral thing you could do to post about? Or
Somebody
is that funny?
send you the picture?
Yeah. Is that the worst thing you can post? Well, what's that line that some people view as funny, some people view, and you're viewed as an a-hole because?
Well, people are just soft nowadays. I mean, I get both sides of that. I get both sides of that argument.
But it's like something I don't think about. I'm more because of mistakes I've made in the past, I'm more like aware of like that other side of things. But sometimes to just get blindsided by someone who is like, you're degrading this person. I was like, if I show up I think we live in a culture where you should, if you do something extravagant out in public, you should just know that something's coming.
Could happen,
I'm not saying that it's right, but it's just the way the game works.
Yeah.
And
it's tough, man.
And
like
it's like,
said,
I try to,
I was listening to some old Eminem songs last night, and the stuff he says, it's just like, I feel like nobody could say this stuff nowadays. They would just get crushed. And it's weird, same with comedians, Joe Rogan and all them talk about it all the time. Like, just everybody's got to take everything in context.
Well,
where it's being said, how it's being said, the page it's on, or who's saying it.
Right.
Or what's,
an example,
lighten up sometimes.
Man, if I had a couple more, I'd probably say more.
That's all good.
Someone had a meme that generally across the board, MLM people, you make fun of them. Posted a meme saying that you're this girl that didn't give you a chance in high school now wants you to have some raps, and she's like smoking ratty hair or whatever.
Right.
It's a funny MLM. I have a group specifically targeted towards anti-MLM, where it's over 1,000 women. There's just 2 and 7 women. They just joke about it, how they're approached, whatever. You post it, and somebody's like, "How's it feel to you pride yourself in degrading women?" And I'm like, it just killed me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have plenty of people in my life that if I was going too far, they would tell me.
Never gonna make everyone happy.
And it's like, how does it feel that you're just the moral standard? Like, like.
I would say
that's the hardest. I think dealing with that opposition that you just don't. I mean, the criticism that you don't feel is just. I guess some criticism is, and I own it. But when it's just like out of left field and.
Yeah. Well, I would say just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's gotten you here. And kind of don't let that stuff get to you too much. There's always going to be haters. There's always going to be people with one opinion, always people with another opinion. It's always a two-edged sword or double-edged knife or whatever the hell the term is, you know?
I know.
So
I think it's one of those things that, like, I think it also kills me that, like, people are like, oh, he's narcissistic or, he's this. And I'm like, which, people tell me, like, you're not, you're proud of what you've done. There's nothing wrong with that. Do I talk about it a lot? Yeah. It's part of my story.
Yeah, that's what you like.
I mean, I think anybody, like, you have a son, you probably talk about your son a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like whatever I'm in, my next phase in life, that's what I'll do.
That's your son. Paige is your
for
son.
now.
Yeah.
And it's like, whatever, like, thing that it's just wherever I've been in life, that's just what I do. It's part of my story. And I think that it's not narcissistic to think that you're proud of what you've done and the impact you've made and be aware of that. I think that everyone wants everyone to be like the Tim Tebow of aw shucks.
Yeah.
I'm not Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
I'm Brian Berns, and I'm proud of what I've done. I'm excited to see the future of it. It's me.
All right, man. Well, I think we should end it right there. I think that's a good little ending. I think it's been an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half. That flew by. I could talk for another hour.
Talk for 3 hours on a podcast before. So.
Okay, camera battery is about to die. But no, that's a good ending, man. He's Brian Berns. 217 Problems. Go follow it if you probably already are. But
or your wife or girlfriend or husband or cousin or your exes.
I think an important thing to remember, just remember it's all in good fun. He's not trying to hurt anybody or anything like that. It's just take it in context.
Yeah, just take in context.
All right, man. Well, thank you for coming on. It was really good chatting with you.
Yeah, look forward to this all day. I didn't leave my house for 2 days. So.
Well, until next time, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Yep, sounds good.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye.